Hello, Marc Jameson. Great having you here today.
Thank you for the opportunity, Anya. Appreciate it.
You are the General Manager, Global Disaster Recovery at Acronis, and you have 30 years of experience when it comes to the network and storage sector.
Absolutely. Been doing it for a long time.
Today we're talking about disaster recovery. And my first question is, when we talk about data protection or data security, we are more thinking about antivirus or backup solutions. But what comes to your mind when we talk about data protection?
When you look at data protection, there's actually a lot of different components to it. Backup and antivirus are definitely components of it, but so is disaster recovery and other types of tools that we look at to how do we protect our data. And it's important to protect the data from the source all the way to the retention. And that's what I think of when I look at the antivirus and I look at backup and security.
So disaster recovery is also very important?
Yes, absolutely. It's a key part of that.
What's the difference between backup and disaster recovery? Can you go a bit more into detail?
There's so much confusion in that. If you look at backup is I'm making a copy of the data or copies of the data and hopefully getting it off site to some other location. And then I have the ability to recover that data when needed. But unfortunately, when I'm trying to recover it, my business doesn't have access to the data. And so that takes a lot of time, whether it be hours, days, or weeks, before I could get my business running again. With disaster recovery, that's the ability to not only recover data, but to run in an alternative environment, while your business is recovering the primary location. So your business stays in business, it keeps working.
Great. So what would you recommend to companies at which size that they not only look about backup but also about disaster recovery? Which company sizes should think about it?
Well, it's interesting. I would actually look at it a little different way. It's around how critical is the data to the company's business. It could be a very large corporation or it could be a very small corporation. What we look at in the disaster recovery space is recovery time objective, and which simply is how long can I not have access to my data before I have a negative impact on the business. So those companies that have data that's very critical and they need to get it in minutes or hours, they're going to look at one thing. Those that can wait hours, days, or weeks will look at something else. And it's also important to note that companies have, not all the data is the same. So there might be some data that a company has that's very critical, but some data that, we just need a backup. So it varies within a company.
Mr. Jameson, can you explain us why disaster recovery is mostly served as software as a service? Absolutely. If you think about how data centers were years ago, using as an example, everybody had their own data center, and over the years, there was technology changes and financial model changes, and so more and more companies, rather than having their own data center, started using co-location facilities or infrastructure as a service or software as a service. Same is true for disaster recovery now. They're looking at there's better access for all sizes of company, not just the biggest, to technology cost effectively, and that way they can let somebody else who's an expert at it handle that for them while they focus on their business. So it's a very attractive model for a cloud type solution, is using disaster recovery there. So when we talk about the cloud solution, what should people be aware of when they're implementing disaster recovery, and what do you say, what are the 3 key points they should think about?
It's interesting, a lot of times company thinks about technology and the financial side of it, but what they really should be thinking about is planning and to have a really good plan for different types of scenarios. They should think most importantly about the people. Will the people be available? Do they have the right tools? Is it easy enough? And then finally, testing. Being able to test a plan, a disaster recovery solution is really important.
Thank you, Marc Jameson, for your time today.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you, and thank you.